Good Thursday night, East Tennessee. My name is David Aldridge, Chief Meteorologist of Captain AccuWeather, coming to you by way of the Captain AccuWeather Command Center. Well, tonight's the night we're going to feel the effects, if we haven't already, of Helene. And she really is just getting started because she's still technically in the Gulf of Mexico. But we've had a lot of rain that has come in today. We're going to look at everything you could possibly imagine in this live stream. Special edition. Usually I would do a video, but I thought this was important to maybe focus on you because I also have room for some comments. Our high temperature today hit 70 as expected. I said 70 would be reasonable. Some of us would stay in the upper 60s. That seems to be pretty reasonable. Oak Ridge had a high of 69 degrees today. It was 67 Crossville and 69 in Newport and 68 in Morristown. But you look at the almanac, how does 70 compare? It wasn't sunny in 70. It was 70 and, well, rainy at times. 79 is the normal high. The record high is 89 from 3 separate years. 2019, what's that, 1986? 1958. So we've had 89 in late September before. But we were nowhere near that. We were 19 degrees shy of that record and 9 degrees below normal for today. Picked up 1.43 inches of rain as of 6 o'clock. I believe now as of 8 o'clock. We're now up to 1.47. So we'll talk about that here in a moment. If you have a comment, I'd love to say hi to you. I got Carol Smith on the call. Carol says hello. She says thank you for doing an update. My pleasure. Always love to see the smiling faces, those little avatars. So Carol Smith, great to see you here. Danny Feedback's also chiming in. He says thanks for all you do. He didn't mention Go Vols, but I can assume that even though it's a bye week, he's all over the winning Vols because we're doing great this season and we're going to carry on maybe next weekend. But the high wind warning is the big story. That started 40 minutes ago. Now, it's very important to note these times because these times from 8 o'clock tonight through 8 o'clock tomorrow evening is the high wind warning, which means we have the effects of Helene that could translate to winds gusting 45 to 50, maybe 55 to 60 to 65. And I'm going to show you some comparisons and differences because it's going to depend on what? Track, baby. It's about the track. Because if Helene goes like this, it goes like this, your winds are going to be either higher or lower. So we could put a big window, 45 to 65 for the valley, and it could very well be 80 plus. 80 plus from Mount LeConte, Clingman's Dome, and maybe this is like places in Greene County, Camp Tower. Talk about some of the higher elevations, chimney tops, you name it. Ober-Gatlinburg, certainly the higher elevations could find gusts 70 to 80 plus. We don't have that wind now, so it's a real tough sell when you're like, you don't have calm winds. What's he talking about? Yeah, it's calm in Athens. We've got a 0 in Middlesboro and an 11-mile-an-hour wind right now at McGee, Texas. You said it started at 8. That's when the Weather Service started, folks. That's all I can do is translate. And they have winds now around 30, 24, 20, let's say 30 miles an hour gusts now in the Smokies. That's not worth hitting the criteria of a high wind warning. But again, we're just tapping our toes, going, when's Helene going to get here? We're going to look at that too. So stay with me. I got a lot of graphics in case some of you aren't watching. That's okay. You can watch it on delay throughout the night. Visibility has been reduced in Jamestown down to a mile. There's some I can't say it's all fog. It could be low clouds and rain because the rain can actually lower the ceiling, so to speak. You can see this rain parading over the last 6 hours. It looks like it went from 240 to 840, and right now it's 842. Yeah, it looks like there's more coming. I wouldn't doubt in any estimate. We're still going to get some rain, and we're going to talk about the composition of rain. Nobody in the planet's going to tell you about this. Not the mainstream media. I'm going to give you all that. You're going to love this. I learned something new because people love to learn. They hate to be taught. It's all about how you showcase it, I guess. But I'm going to show you something you can learn. Say, I took it to the water cooler. Well, maybe not tomorrow. If school and maybe the cancel work. Might have to work from home if you even have power. We'll get to that too. So high winds could take out power. Flood watch till 2 p.m. Friday. It lasts until 7 a.m. Saturday for the plateau. Crossville, Cumberland County, Fentress County, Jamestown. You are going to have a flood watch till 7. You're lucky. You lucky dogs. You get to keep it till Saturday morning because that storm may be drifting to the west. So the flooding concern may linger there. But at least from the Weather Service in Morristown, which covers the rest of us, flooding possible for rivers, creeks, and streams. Now, how much rain did we get today? So far, it looks like the last 24 hours, that goes before midnight, right? From 8:43 last night to 8:43 now. You can see Oneida's had maybe 3/4, maybe an inch in La Follette. Again, this is Doppler estimated. Some areas in yellow have had over 3 inches in the last 24 hours. Morristown, maybe 2.8. You go, that's crazy. That's like torrential. It is, but not everybody had it, right? And there's still, and this is before Helene even makes her mark, at least in terms of the wind. But a lot of rain has occurred in some of these areas, and that's why it's important to know What kind of rain are we going to get? We're going to get what's called tropical rains now, and that's going to change the entire composition of what's still yet to come. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about flooding. That's going to be another huge concern. I know the winds make the headlines. Oh, how strong are the winds? Well, the winds are going to be strong, 45 to 65 now for the valley, depending on track, and easily 70 or 80 plus for the tops of the Smokies. But the flooding safety, we talk about this every time rain occurs. There is this tendency that if you own a Jeep or an SUV, you think you're invincible. I could drive through anything. I could do it. Well, what happens is if you get stuck, then somebody, a male or female, a first responder, has to come rescue you. That's no fun. Why put them in danger because you were just in a hurry? Always best to turn around, don't drown. If you're finding yourself in a situation, you have no power, you want to get out of the house, you start driving down the road and you see the road is flooded, please don't drive through it. There's no award for driving through it. You're better off just turning around, not drowning. Temperature right now 69 degrees as we are at 8:45. I want to check in with your comments here. 68 Moorestown, current temperature. I thought the high was 70. Exactly. We have moved but 5 degrees all day, right? Maybe 4 or 5 degrees. Some places just been flatline, like the temperature hadn't moved much at all. But that's where we are. It's 70 right now in Sevierville. It's 65 in Crossville. If you're on the call, want to say good evening to you. A rare live performance. Hi to Dawn Rumsey. She says, good evening, David. Thanks for keeping us updated. Please stay safe, yourself and family. Absolutely. I hope you will as well. She's one of my premium members and a dear friend. Carrie says, good evening. Thankful for the rain, but it's been a little crazy today. Prayers for those in the path of Helene. And that's all of us. When's the last time we got hit by a tropical storm? Good chance. We got to go back and look at the records. We got a note from Miss Bandy. Thanks so much, David. And Katrina Parker, also on here, wants to know how bad will it be in East Tennessee. Katrina, that name kind of triggers some people in the hurricane season world because there was a Hurricane Katrina one time, but I digress. That was back in 2005, and that hit New Orleans pretty bad when the levees broke. But I digress. We're going to be dealing with Helene tonight, so I want to answer Katrina's question in a presentation that you will see unlike anywhere else, because I'm focused on local. You got to focus on local. But in order to bring in the local, I got to show the macro, the bigger picture first. Dew point temperatures are in the mid to upper 60s. The humidity is going to continue to climb. And when those numbers are north of 70, it does feel sticky. It does feel stuffy. Currently 75 in Nashville, 68 in Asheville around the Biltmore. Those are our current temperatures. But look at the dew points here. 74, Columbia, 73 in Augusta. So could that higher dew point in South Carolina and Georgia, could that be related to Helene? Yes, it could. And I would assume it is related to a hurricane. Right now, we've got a pretty strong hurricane. Last I checked, Category 4. We're going to get to the track here in a moment. I'm not delaying it. I just want to make sure everybody who wants to check in with us can tune in and also give us an opportunity to fill in some of the information, or at least give you time to look at it. The Ultimate Doppler Radar, presented by your local Marco's Pizza, shows a lot of rain still showing up in Jamestown, Crossville, Wartburg. It may not be everywhere or all present, but given the fact that we've had so much rain over a short period of time, let me just go back. Let's go back about 8 hours. This is a time lapse. And you can see we have all sorts of crazy boxes or polygons in green related to flood warnings. And in brown, it's the high wind watch that's now a high wind warning. Across the border into North Carolina, they got a tropical storm warning in places like Swain County, North Carolina. It's crazy. It's not that far away. But as you see, this is the time lapse. Let's just jump off this map for a second because I want to show you something that you probably aren't going to see or maybe highlight it. Again, we're focused on local. This is the storm. This is Hurricane Helene, and she's pretty mean. She's an angry sort as she's moving north toward the Big Bend area near Tallahassee, really. But it's moving through northern Florida. I want to come back here and just check real quickly the accumulation, right? We can look at the rainfall rates because if you think about it, let's see here, the flood watch, get that over here, warnings. We have interesting amounts of precipitation rates because the rates themselves, there's two things that will lead to flash flooding. It is precipitation rate and the precipitation duration, mainly the rainfall rate and the rain duration. But when you look at some of these totals, some of them are coming in at 0.96 an hour. Around Crossville, it's coming at 0.82 hour. So the rainfall is deceiving. And we're going to get into the raindrops here in a moment. But if I were just to clear this off and just look at the accumulation total, ready? Kaboom. That's a lot of color. And if I were to take the little eyedropper, this is the total of rain Let's start maybe the 24 hours, because the 24 hours might be a little more easier to digest. Let's do 24 hours. Yeah, so now when you look at this eyedropper here, you say in the last 24 hours, some areas around Blaine have maybe had 2. Morristown, maybe 3.8. You say, this is nuts. That's like a month's worth of rain in the last 24 hours. 3 inches here around Gatlinburg, Cosby, about 1.5 inches. Maryville, about 1.5 inches. Knoxville. That lines up because we had 1.47 officially. So for a Doppler estimate, that's pretty spot on. Harriman, 1.13. La Follette, about 1 inch today. The last 24 hours, yeah, it trails off once you go west. But you're going to get your turn, Jamestown, Crossville. You're not going to be exempt once Helene moves in this direction. So that just gives you an idea of what's happened in the last 24 hours. What no one might show you is the total. The total. How much do you think we've had all week? Some areas are like, that's crazy. Some in purple. Have we had 8 inches? Have we had 6? This is all estimated, all Doppler estimated, but somebody in Union County about 3. Maybe we've had about 4. 4.5. Some areas in purple, about closing in on 6. I heard Kathy Muller said she had 6 from last night, that was this morning, in Del Rio. Del Rio is in Cock County. So some areas have had more than 6 inches, so this is not that unheard of. But if you're in these counties that have not had much rain, you might be thinking, oh, that's not true. Yeah, it is true. Some have had a lot more rain to the south and to the east. So if you're east of Knox County, chances are your rainfall amounts have been off the chart. I want to get to your comments here in a moment. Let's get back to our friends. I want to say a special thanks to my sponsor. If you're still hungry, you haven't had dinner yet, I do know they're still delivering. They're not going to put their lives in danger, but if it's raining, they'll still deliver. If it's not too bad, the roads are certainly okay. But Marcos.com, check them out at Hardin Valley, Farragut. They're in Maryville, Fountain City. They're in Halls, Oak Ridge, as well as Middlebrook Pike and Ebenezer Road. Check out their magnificent pizza. Oh, that looks so good right now. Pepperoni Magnifico for less than $10. You just use that code there, PEPMAG, if you go to Marcos.com. And they have a great Pozzoli. If you like, it's like a calzone, I suppose. But they call it a Pozzoli. And you can pack it with some pepperoni and sausage. It's delicious. And it's for less than $6. Marcos.com, a great sponsor for Captain Accurate Weather. So the bigger picture, we are bracing for some strong winds. We are bracing for tropical rains. So far, most of the rain we've had, has been associated with a stalled cold front. But now, once we introduce the tropical rains, that's going to change the equation a whole lot more. And my premium members know exactly what I'm talking about, so I'm going to give you a preview of that here momentarily. But if we zoom back in, down to the south, that's where we want to go. I believe we're going to zoom back into parts of where Hurricane Helene is located, right? We've got flash flood warnings around Tallahassee. There's the storm in its glory, and you can see the circulation center. If I zoom in a little bit tighter, you can see they've got banding going on right now, going right into the Big Bend area around Apalachicola. Panama City's getting pounded. I have a premium member there that's riding through this storm. A very tough thing to do. Prayers for her and her family. But we got Gainesville, Ocala, Tallahassee. They're all getting hammered right now from what is Hurricane Helene. Love to know what you think or where you are and your preparations. I got a note from Mary. Mary says, good morning, good afternoon. I've lost track of time. I guess it's evening. When you work 16 or 18-hour days, always focus on the weather. You don't know if it's AM or PM. Monroe County, she says, is quite thus far, but near Tellico Plains. Appreciate you, Captain Accurate. Also appreciate you, Mary. Wanda Poe says, I know we've had a lot of rain here in Newport. She's confirming that the heavy rains have been there as well. And Kayla, one of my premium members in Sevierville, she said she's had 7.5 inches of rain in the last 48 hours. Now, have all of you had 7.5? No. Have more of you had 3 or 4 or 5? Yes. And could we be getting more? Yes. And this is what might be a little more frightening when I show you, now that we're adding a warm source, this is, we all know Helene's in the Gulf. She's coming up from the south. This is a warm rain, a tropical rain. But in terms of the flags, when you see 2 of those flags, that's a hurricane warning. Very much appropriately flying down there in Florida. But look at the wave heights. My goodness. Around 20? Now I see 30. Is that 30? Oh my. Yeah, 30-foot waves. Can you imagine? I think Shaquille O'Neal's like, what, 7 foot? So you'd have to, what, like 3 Shaquille O'Neal's about 21 feet, right? 3 times 7, 4. Yeah, you'd be like 4 Shaquille O'Neal's to get up 28, 30 feet. That's a lot. Shoulder to shoulder. A tall basketball player, right? And you look at the temperatures in the low 80s. This is warm enough to continue, and it's going right toward Atlanta, and then it's coming right for us. So think about it. I've even had some people who've lived here their whole life like, I can't remember this track ever coming here. Like, we always have it go this way or that way. Watch what happens, because this may take out your power. If I'm not live streaming tomorrow morning, it's not because I don't want to. I might be without power. Like you. You might be without power, and that would be an issue. But those are the sea surface temperatures. The peak surge with 30-foot waves, they've got easily storm surges over 12 feet. That's an understatement in purple. So real problem with Helene, a monster storm. Let me give you the rainfall update for McGee-Tyson. We've had 5.02 officially, folks. Or 5.03, excuse me, 5.03. That's as of 8 o'clock. And we are fastly approaching 9 o'clock. It is now 8:54. 5.03 for the month puts us well above average. The average is 3.49. I've circled that. But we're going to take out probably the entire month of October in just the next 24 to 36 hours. It's going to be amazing. And the deficit just keeps drying up. There's no deficit in Morristown. Not anymore. And there's no deficit in Newport for the 30 days, the last 30 days. But what is interesting to see is that it's still very much needed. A drink of water in the Chattanooga area where it's orange and red is much needed. That would represent a 2 to 3 inch deficit in the Hamilton County area. So they could still use much more rain, and they're going to get it. I can definitely attest that they're going to get more rain than they've had. Now, the drought monitor came out today, but here's the little rub. It cuts off the data Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m. So that means at 8:31 a.m. Tuesday, right to the present, this does not reflect that. This drought monitor that you see, because it looks really red, and it is. We've had some drought conditions that have been extreme in Harriman. We've had an extreme drought in Loudoun, Lenore City, Decatur, and Soddy Daisy. And in Knoxville, it's been a severe drought. So extreme in red, severe in orange. This was the last update. Came out today, but it usually takes a couple of days to go through the process of the supercomputers. Maynardville, a moderate drought, last report. And you say, well, that's ridiculous. They don't know we've had rain. They do, but they're not going to really reflect that until the next monitor comes out next week. So again, the data goes in and they turn it off. They turn off the spigot with the data at 8:30 on Tuesday morning. So it does not reflect all the rain we've had in the last 48 hours that we learned from Miss Trail. So she's at 7.5. So that, I'm sure, made quite a big of a dent across the area, but I thought I would show that all the same. I thought you were going to focus on local. I am. I want to focus on local because we got a Cat 4 that's got winds of 130. Imagine that. 130. Imagine that. That's a pretty narrow band of the cone there. Headed just south of Tallahassee. But it's going to make a beeline toward Atlanta and Macon. May very well still be a Category 2 in Albany, Georgia, or some prefer Albany. But I've heard it both pronunciations. You talk to somebody from there, they'll say, it's Albany. No, it's Albany. Tastes great, less filling. You got the word Newark, New Jersey, but same spelling. It's Newark, Delaware. Or Beaufort, South Carolina, Beaufort, North Carolina. You just same spelling, different pronunciation. But I digress. There's Atlanta. What about us? They still have this, the Hurricane Center, as a tropical storm in Crossville. Whoa! You mean we still, like, she's still known as Helene when she moves toward Cookeville and Crossville. And what time is that? That's about 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon with winds of 45. Now, this is from the PhDs of the National Hurricane Center in Miami. So the men and women with the PhDs have made an assessment that Crossville may be the crosshairs of where Helene is located at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon with winds of 45 around the center. But I've said before, people put way too much emphasis on the cone. They look at this cone and say, well, Knoxville's not really in the cone, so we don't have anything to worry about. That's not true. We have a lot to be worried about, especially if you lose power. There are going to be some nasty winds in Bristol, nasty winds in Johnson City, nasty winds in Greenville. So you don't have to be, quote, in the cone to be in the crosshairs of this storm. People, if you're within spitting distance of the cone, you've got reason to be concerned. I've got some other comments I want to share with you online. Katrina wants to know what the winds are supposed to be picking up. They'll be picking up after 2 o'clock in the morning, right through 7 a.m. Really going to show you the winds here in the next moment here because a couple of graphics lined up for that. But thank you for staying with me, Katrina. Kelsey says, what's it going to be like in Loudoun through all this? It's going to be windy. All right, 45 to 65 in the valley. The 45-mile-an-hour winds with this circulation center could be sustained, but the gusts could be much, much higher, closer to 65 in the valley. So if it springs, it's like a 7-10 split in bowling. How many bowling fans are out there? Chattanooga on the left, and we got Maryville on the right. And if that storm squeezes right in, it's going to bring in some gnarly winds in the Smokies, taking out power especially. And then in the valley too. We're going to lose power, I'm sure, or at least see it flicker. It's not that they don't work around the clock, they do, but this is going to be a lot of wind in a short period of time. And this storm will continue to decay, it'll continue to dance and slow down and stall. So that's why you see the cone kind of stopping there. But if we were to focus just on the cone, I say Crossville, how much more could you be in Cumberland County? I don't know if Helene has wanted to play golf, because I know Crossville's a big golf destination, but Helene's coming here for a tour. Coming to Crossville, Cumberland County for a tour, and I hope you're ready. Wartburg, Harriman, you're in the cone. But even if you're not in the cone, Morristown, if you're not in the cone, Tazewell, please do not put your, there's nothing to worry about, honey, go to bed. No, be thinking that this is going to have just as much of an impact for you as it will be for the people in the cone. They're just focused on the circulation center at this point. Let me show you the winds. Follow the colors, if you would. This is the wind, future wind gusts. Hopefully this will answer Katrina's question. Anything that's orange and red would be 50, 60, or 70. 50, 60, or 70 is the red areas here, and it moves toward Valdosta, up toward Macon by about 3 o'clock in the morning. Around Statesboro, Savannah's got some very nasty winds at 3 in the morning. Heads towards, say, Greenville, Athens, Georgia, and it looks like we've got some very strong winds in color there at 60 plus in the Smokies. And it looks by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, we're going to have some nasty winds at 8 a.m. Look at that in Knoxville, Gatlinburg. And these winds are not going to stay inside the cone. They're going to expand outside the cone. So that means you've got to be ready. And if you have a phone that you need to have charged, do it now. Don't wait to charge your phone tomorrow morning and go, man, I wish I had known. These winds are going to be absolutely horrific, and they'll be stronger in the morning as compared to the afternoon, because you can see the color change now is more green and maybe yellow. That would be at least 30 or 40 plus 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They have a wind warning, high wind warning, until 8 p.m. on Friday night, and that's 8:03. So that would be about the time that some might be considering playing high school football. But there could be some cancellations. I know schools canceled. I would imagine some of the games might be affected as well. But then you can see how the winds kind of diminish quite a bit Saturday and into Sunday. Here's another way to look at it. Again, this particular model, last I checked, kind of moved the track east. It kind of moved it between Knoxville and Asheville, if I'm not mistaken. Take a look at the winds here. Do you see that 46, 53 around, say, Columbia, Augusta? Again, this is just model driven, but it shows how the strong winds start to move into Johnson City. Asheville has a 53-mile-an-hour gust at 5 in the morning, but it looks like it's really strong in places like Greenville and, say, Morristown, White Pine. You've probably got winds easily 35, 45, 55, 65. Some of these are going to be off the chart. You look at Johnson City, 63. That's 7:30 in the morning. So depending on the track, because you can see the circulation center. I don't know if you can see. It's right here. The circulation center is southwest of Greenville, South Carolina at 7:30 in the morning. So if you focus on where the circulation is, the winds are nasty. They're well outside of the cone. That's why I have to say you could have hurricane force winds in Asheville at 7:30, and even though the storm is passing by. So there's going to be some strong, nasty winds. They extend all the way up into Lexington. They go up to Jackson, Kentucky, possibly Charleston, West Virginia. So everybody is within the striking distance of this storm. Could lose power, and it could be a prolonged period of time. So you've got things in the refrigerator. All of these things, be thinking what you can do to prepare mentally and, well, yes, pragmatically, what you can do to prepare for these winds that are going to be coming into town. Hopefully that answers or addresses some of the questions that were coming in a bit earlier. I got a note from Dan. Dan is in Crossville. Dan says, I live in Crossville, and he's not too happy about that. I don't blame you. Because think about this, Dan. A lot of folks think about this. When you have a storm that's moving, let me see, go back to the screen because I want to go back. What was the speed of this storm? Well, I'm looking at the top, right? The latest update, all right, winds of now 140, and it's moving northeast at 24 miles per hour. I'm looking at the top banner there, right under Helene's name. So if you've got movement that's over 20 miles an hour, right now it's moving north-northeast at 24. Let's say it maintains that speed, right? And if it's a 45, if it's 45 miles an hour around Crossville, you tack on another 20, 25 for the motion, you could be looking at 65 mile an hour gusts in Crossville tomorrow morning. And it's like, it's not that windy now, but it will be much windier later, and that's why I say this will be a very rapidly changing situation where if the power goes out early, I think it's going to probably be out quite a while. I didn't mention it this morning, but I think it's worth mentioning now as we look at some of those wind gusts. They're going to be strong, and they're going to have some impact in East Tennessee. Property damage is also on the table, sadly. And as I said this morning, I take no joy in sharing that information. I do want to mention fall color. We've had a drought. That puts stress on fall color. The fact that we're going to be losing a lot of leaves, let's face it, winds that are moving 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, it may not be, folks, a very good fall color year. I'm not to say, I'm not putting a kibosh on fall color, but typically tropical storms and hurricanes can ruin a fall color season. And it's coming on top of the dry and stress that these trees have been under. So if you really look at where fall color is now, it's certainly taking hold in the Rockies, it's taking hold in New England, it's getting close to peak, or if not past peak, near Denver, or at least west of Denver. But here in East Tennessee, there is now low to moderate color developing in the Smokies, but my fear is that we're going to lose a lot of that going into tonight and tomorrow as some of those trees will be torn down. Well, at least the leaves, and the trees could come down, take out power. If there's any silver lining in this cloud, it's the smoke. Some of us who've been sensitive to smoke lately in the last couple of weeks, you can clearly see the vertically integrated smoke, that Helene is actually like a swizzle stick. She keeps all the smoke away, right? I'm looking at some of the smoke that's moved out. So if there's any benefit, we're getting the rain, but we're eliminating the concern for wildfire smoke in the area. The hurricane that we've looked at before has rising motion within the strong thunderstorms. There's also calm areas around the eye. The eye wall is ferocious, but the actual circulation in the eye where the spread flows out, we get calm weather, means clearer skies right in the center of this circulation. I believe we still have some color. Yeah, this is the visible satellite image. No, I'm not David Copperfield. I'm not able to make Helene just disappear. But because this product only works during the daylight hours, that's why we call it the visible satellite, it disappears, right? So it's kind of nice if we could do that, like make a hurricane. Maybe in the distant future we'll have that ability. But Helene is going to strike Florida first, then Georgia, and eventually head up to East Tennessee. But you can see, at least before the sun went down, that there was a very well-defined eye, and a storm that's a Category 4 of winds 140 is nothing to take lightly. It's a serious storm, no doubt. The diagram of a hurricane, we talked about the flags, the hurricane flags, the structures I mentioned. When you talk about rising motion, that's what really causes these storms to really form. And then you've got the flow that spreads outward at certain heights. And the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico and the sinking air that results in the clear sky. So usually, if the eye is well defined, you can get a little period of dry weather and calm winds, but it's short-lived. Cat 4 is catastrophic. With winds of 140 now, it's clearly in the middle of that range of 130 to 156. Now here's what very few people would show you, or even consider showing you. But the tropical moisture that's coming in is a warm rain. Most of the time, we're dealing with a cold rain, because upstairs there's usually some ice or ice nuclei, meaning there's some colder air aloft. And so when you look on the left side, cold rain is what we've been dealing with. But tonight and tomorrow, we're going to be dealing with the moisture from Helene, and it's going to be much more abundant. One of the things that you'll notice, or may not notice, is that on the radar, the colors don't go off the chart. They don't typically turn red or purple associated with our friend Helene. But when you look at the processes, we're talking about the rainfall rate. Look at the box on the lower right. Look at the box. See how the drops are more numerous, they're smaller, and smaller than the cold rain. So that's why the estimates, come back on camera, the estimates that are coming in, maybe another 2.5 inches, but could be closer to 3.5, 4 inches of additional rain, because we're adding in a tropical rain. And that's going to be a real problem, because a lot of folks say, I just didn't expect this. Where did this water come from? I have a flooded basement. I have a flooded backyard. That's my fear. My fear is that we're now introducing tropical rains, warm rains, into the atmosphere of East Tennessee, and suddenly this rain is just going to pile up. So it could very well exceed expectations, and the winds could very well exceed expectations. Now, if that's harder to wrap around, just know that it's going to be a very tough 24-hour period between now and tomorrow evening. I can show you the future rainfall, but this model doesn't understand tropical rains. These models don't do a very good job with it. So this would suggest we get another 1.5 inches in Knoxville, when I suspect we probably could tack on another 2 inches on top of that because it's tropical rains. It's going to be higher than the cold rain algorithms that these are attuned to. So again, another way to look at this, another future rainfall suggests some purple areas, which would suggest maybe 4, 5, or 6 inches. But this suggests an inch, 1.8 Knoxville, about 3 inches in Crossville. Go ahead and tack on an extra 2 inches. Because if we get tropical rain, which clearly we're going to get, these models, I think, are going to be grossly underestimating what's coming into town. But we are not, as I've mentioned before, we're not an island unto ourselves. This is also affecting our friends in Georgia. It's going to affect western North Carolina. It's going to go all the way up into Indiana and the Ohio Valley. So this is going to be an ongoing situation because poor Helene is going to get stalled and have nowhere to go. If you're keeping track, Tropical Storm Isaac was the latest named storm. And I only point this out because we are going to cross his name off the list. He's not going to cause any issues. Normally, if I was limited on time, I would never put this in my presentation, but I had some extra time here on a live stream. It's 9:10. I just wanted to let you know that we can cross off Isaac, but we have a new storm that might be forming in red. That would be about, I believe, a 90% chance. That would be Joyce. And then we have one in yellow that could be Kirk. There's a 20% chance of that storm forming. So still active weather. The hurricane season is far from over. Joyce, Kirk, and Leslie would be the next 3 names on the list. So we did have Helene to track today and tomorrow. I said gusts would start around 45, 50 after 2 a.m. But clearly, again, if the winds are underestimated, we could be looking at 60 or 65. If you're in Crossville, if you're in Harriman, if you're in Lenoir City, you could prepare for 65, depending on track. But 45 to 50 at a minimum is going to come to a town near you with some leftovers of Helene this weekend. Another way to look at the Storm Prediction Center and where spin-up tornadoes may occur tomorrow will be in orange. That would be Wrightsville Beach. That would be Wilmington, Fayetteville, North Carolina, maybe even Raleigh, and say Charlotte, because they've got scattered severe storms in yellow. But it looks like most of Tennessee should be fine, apart from the traumatic wind and the traumatic rain, but no spin-up tornadoes. It looks like the severe weather threat isolated is focused in Johnson City. Saturday, there's really nothing to see at all except some general thunderstorms in Florida. Because usually when we have tropical weather, the question comes up, are we going to get any tornadoes? I don't expect that to be the issue. But you can clearly see what's draped over us is not Helene. It's the stalled front. And it's acting as a conduit. It's acting like the railroad track to allow Helene to advance northward. And this decaying hurricane, soon to be a tropical storm over East Tennessee, will park itself like so. And this one puts it right over Knoxville. So if you're going to say, well, Knoxville's not on the cone, I disagree. I just think there's a point in time where the downside of having a cone is people think, well, I'm either in it or I'm out, so it has to be one or the other. And I'm saying if you're within spitting distance of a cone, you've got reason to be concerned. And that's also true if you ever go to the beach and you're trying to figure out, am I in the cone or not? You can always zoom in. But this is what represented with midday tomorrow. Midday tomorrow, the winds are still strong. And look where it does. It does like a curly Q. Heads toward Paducah, heads toward Bowling Green, and then on Saturday, I think maybe isolated, not isolated, like 20 or 30% chance of rain on Saturday, but a 60% chance on Sunday because it's going to come back. The energy from this associated with the front will advance back into town. So you're going to be looking at more showers and storms on Sunday. So again, Helene's remnants will be slow to exit because she really has nowhere to go. It is 9:12. I've gone on pretty long here, but the fog, or it might be more just low clouds, may be an issue in some spots in gray, but with those winds moving as high as they're going to be, fog may not be the issue. It's just the fact that it's low clouds and a low cloud ceiling. Tonight I expect a low around 65. You say, I'm almost there now. You might see our temperatures actually rise tonight. They'll go up a little bit, and then our high temperature may very well occur before 10 a.m. So let me say that again. As that low moves north into Kentucky, our high temperature will be early. It'll be like between, say, 4 a.m., 10 a.m., and then it starts to cool back because we're on the backside of the low. But the winds for tonight will kick in after 2 a.m., about 45 to 50, plus easily 10 to 20 before, say, midnight or 1 a.m. Tonight we're down to 63 in Morristown, 61 in Crossville. Look for a low in Kingston of 62. Tomorrow, 76, wind-driven rain. It drove my text right off the line there, but you get my point. Winds are going to be sustained easily, 15 on the low end to 35 sustained. Gusts 45, 50, could be closer to 65. So again, if we're going to underestimate the rain, we can underestimate the winds. They may exceed. And then once you hit a 50-mile-an-hour gust, it's not only going to knock away a trash can, it will take out power. It's just, whether it's 50 or 60, you're going to find the effects of Helene tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, a high of 79 expected in Morristown, but much cooler where the storm may end up in Crossville. I've got us at 70 in Cumberland County, 70 in Jamestown, and 71 in Oneida. Let me check in with your comments. I know I've gone on pretty long here, but I wanted to give all the information out there. Will Luke, he's on here. He says, this storm system has already cost me, he says, if I put this note on here, if it's coming back on, did I put that on there? Oh, there he is. He said, this storm system has already cost me roof damages. Oh, my goodness. And he says, I got to get out of here. He hopes to get this out of here. I hope so. Let's see here. KC Fowler has a question. She says, do you think this will all be cleared out by Saturday morning? Not in the true sense. Because it's stalling, KC, and because it's actually going to be coming back on Sunday, the remnants of this storm. We're usually the recipients of remnants of storms. That's what's going to persist this weekend. But the worst of it will come in tomorrow morning with the wind and then, of course, the wraparound rain. Because you're adding more rain to misery, right? We've already had estimated 2, 4, 6, maybe 8 inches in some parts of the foothills of rain in the last 2 days, maybe 30, 48 hours at least. And it's only going to compound it with another 2.5 to 4.5 potentially if that tropical rain expectation comes true. So here's my expectation. Here's the Captain Accurate Weather Authority forecast for Knoxville, East Tennessee. Hopefully this will answer, Keith, your question, KC's question. We're in the mid-70s Saturday and Sunday. 30% chance of rain Saturday, 60% chance on Sunday. If you're looking to enjoy 2 beautiful days with low humidity, may I suggest Wednesday afternoon and Thursday. So, well, those are work days. I know. They're school days too. But, you know, can't be, beggars can't be choosers. I can't determine. I'm just the messenger. But I'm telling you, Wednesday afternoon, when the humidity's dropping, we're down to 57. Very nice, comfortable. Thursday morning, we're back to 83 Thursday afternoon. So 2 mostly sunny days are coming. And even Tuesday's not bad outside of a spotty rain shower. But I think it will get much improved heading into the middle part of next week. So clearly a lot to take in there. And I have no idea. You'll have to let me know how long I've gone, because I think I started long before 9 o'clock. I got a note from a friend here. In fact, she's a family member, Joanne. She says you're so thorough. Thank you very much. She's family. She's Ken. Always love to see my Aunt Jody on there. Thanks, David, says Alyssa. She says stay safe, well, and especially my sister Carla. Yes. Please, prayers for her. If she's the one hunkering down in Panama City, prayers need to be for her and her family. Kimberly is here. She is also noting that we have family in Safe Harbor, Florida. Prayers to her and her family. Prayers for everyone. And the other question that came up is, do I ever sleep? Not often. As I mentioned, if I'm not on at 6:40 tomorrow morning, because that's my normal time, for those of you that might be sampling me for the very first time, let me come back on camera and turn that off. Yeah, I'm usually on at 6:40 a.m. to 7, Tuesday through Fridays. Tomorrow's Friday. But if I'm not on, it's probably because I lost power like you. And if you lost power, somebody say, well, you should have a generator. I could get a generator, but I have a kid in college and another one that will be going to college, so I would need more premium members to get a generator. So you know what I'm saying? So if you want to join us on premium, I would love to have you join us. We have a free Captain Accurate weather app. What a segue. All of the National Weather Service alerts are there. You get Pete Michaels traffic. And when it's raining cats and dogs, Pete Michaels traffic, you want to know if a road is flooded. He's going to tell you. And he's on the app. Weather and traffic, perfect together. Did I mention it's free? Oh, I like free. Free's good. You get 3 exclusive alerts from Barron. Who's Barron? Barron, they're the best radar company in the country. They are critical weather intelligence. So you're getting 3 exclusive alerts from Barron, plus lightning alerts, plus all the National Weather Service alerts, and you don't have to hunt for it. It just shows up on the screen of your phone. Very convenient. But definitely download Captain Accurate, the weather app. All you have to do is search the 2 words Captain Accurate, and it will appear. The premium service is just a matter of hitting the subscribe button on my Facebook page. Because I got to tell you, once Helene is gone, guess what's coming? Colder air. You don't mean it. Yeah, I'm talking about colder air. May not be snowing right away, but colder air will be coming down from Canada. And in soon, short order of time, a matter of weeks, I'm going to have this fall my winter weather outlook. That is only seen on my premium service. And it's only $4.99 a month for the price of a cup of coffee, or 16 cents a day, you could be privy. Did you know I predicted 8 to 12 inches of snow last year? Only one to do that I know of. And certainly I did it 2 days before Halloween. That's pretty good. We had 8.5. Some had 11. Some had 12. It's pretty good. So if you want to know what I'm thinking about this winter, because I get that question asked, even when I'm at the Dunkin' Donuts, wherever I am, somebody will say, hey, what's the winter going to be? I can tell you, but you got to join us on Premium. Our focus is beyond the next 7 days. We do that a lot. You're also the first to see my snow forecast when they're issued, and you're also to see every forecast, usually to the tune of about 30 minutes to an hour, even 2 hours extra early on weekends. And you get more, speaking of weekends, you get more Facebook Lives on Sunday typically to help you plan for the week ahead. That's 4 extra Facebook Lives you get in a month, and you get fewer ads. So there's some real benefit. I've gone this now for 2 years. I've got some people who've been with me those whole 2 years. They love it. Again, I've got landscapers, I've got truck drivers and school teachers. They want to know if school's going to be canceled. So there's a good reason to join us on Premium, even if you just want to sample us. Join us, just $4.99 a month, or 16 cents a day. I think it's the best bargain in East Tennessee, but I'm biased. I'm always posting. They get about 15 or 20 posts a day. So you know I'm always, whatever top of mind, I'm putting it out there for them to consume, and they find it very, very helpful. Well, my name is David Aldridge. I hope this live stream has been helpful. Share it with your friends, your family, and if you're watching this later on in the night, that's okay. I would love to just get the information out so that you're ready. If you lose power, prepare like you're going to lose power. And anything that's in the refrigerator, make sure you got all that worked out. Maybe you need an ice box or something to put some of the precious food. So in case you lose power, you'll be set. My name is David Aldridge. We'll see you here next time. Take care.